Today on the program, Volkswagen is on the brink. With tens of thousands of jobs at risk, Tesla's biggest competitor finally responds to bankruptcy rumors. Bad news awaits everyone passing through Belgium, and BYD is launching a 1,600 horsepower supercar that's cheaper than a Porsche. There was a time when the name Volkswagen evoked an unshakable industrial machine that was taking over the world, but now the machine has coughed, it has spat out thick black smoke, and today it seems to be completely on fire. In Wolfsburg, it's no longer just panic, it's even worse than that. The information that's shaking Lower Saxony and giving the unions cold sweats comes down to one number reported by Reuters: 140,000. That's the number of jobs that, according to the Works Council, could be lost. 140,000. So what's really happening at Volkswagen? Oliver Blume, the big boss, has called his teams together for the end of August. He'll have to explain himself at headquarters, then tour the Emden and Zwickau plants the next day. These factories are among the 4 German sites, along with Hanover and Neckarsulm, that management is simply considering shutting down. The arithmetic of disaster is as follows. 50,000 job cuts are already underway. Blume, in a recent internal memo, estimated that another 50,000 would be needed to offset a cost disadvantage he puts at 20 compared to the competition. Added to this are the 40,000 jobs that would be at risk if the factories actually closed after 2030. Management, of course, hides behind the lack of a formal agreement and refuses to comment on these staggering figures. So why did we get to this point? Did Volkswagen get tripped up by the electric transition? The brand lost its #1 title in China to BYD, falling to 3rd place last year. Chinese manufacturers, with their electric models produced at unbeatable costs, are arriving in Europe. Add to that a sluggish European demand and the threat of US tariffs, and you get an explosive mix. For years, Volkswagen multiplied models, trims, and options, creating a bloated industrial machine. Oliver Blume's response is to cut the fat. The model range could be reduced by half and the complexity of options slashed by 75%. It's a historic restructuring, maybe the most drastic in the history of European automobiles. Volkswagen, once untouchable, now has to face the harsh reality of a global market that doesn't spare dinosaurs turned into mincemeat. The unions promised to fight, and August is shaping up to be a hot month in Germany. But one thing is certain, the era of opulence is over in Wolfsburg. The people's car will have to learn to count its pennies again. Next, don't believe everything you hear on social media. Tesla's competitor is not bankrupt. I know it's a lot less catchy than a flashing all-caps headline announcing the end of the world. But reality, stubborn as it may be, deserves our attention. Last Tuesday, the stock market was out of control. Lucid Motors' stock plummeted, dropping more than 40% to hit a low of $2.37 before being suspended several times. The reason for this panic? An obscure blog specializing in electric vehicles claimed, based on anonymous sources, that the brand was preparing to file for bankruptcy, supposedly advised by the firm Alex Partners. Faced with this speculative frenzy, Lucid's management didn't beat around the bush. The new CEO, Silvio Napoli, was straightforward. A formal notice sent to the offending site along with a formal denial. These reports are completely false, he stated firmly. The board of directors has not formed any special committee to explore bankruptcy. As for the firm Alex Partners, they are indeed present, but simply to help the company optimize its operations. Nothing unusual for a manufacturer wanting to grow. The market eventually came to its senses. The next day, the stock rebounded by nearly 29% to close at almost $6, almost completely erasing the drop. So, is everything perfect in the best of all electric worlds? Obviously not. Saying that Lucid is doing great would be just as dishonest as claiming that it's shutting down tomorrow. The reality is that the company is burning cash, a lot of cash. In the first quarter of 2026, the net loss exceeded $1 billion, with a negative free cash flow of more than $1.4 billion. Production remains limited, with barely 5,500 vehicles produced in the first quarter, and the company had to lay off nearly 18% of its American workforce in June to downsize. Running at a loss when launching a new car brand isn't news. It's the typical business model. Tesla came close to dying several times before becoming profitable. Lucid, for its part, has a safety cushion that many envy, a reported cash reserve of $3.2 billion at the end of March, boosted to $4.7 billion after a recent fundraising round supported by a major shareholder, the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. Enough to make it well beyond next year, as management points out. The real challenge for Lucid is not surviving until next month. It's an industrial one. The brand absolutely must move out of its luxury niche with its Gravity SUV, and above all, prove that it can achieve significant volumes with its upcoming Cosmos model. That's where the company's survival will be decided. In the meantime, remember that on social media, a baseless rumor always travels much faster than the truth. Next, if you used to cross Belgium with a smirk thanks to their free highways, enjoy it while it lasts because the fun is coming to an end. Flanders, Wallonia, and Brussels have just reached an agreement. And yes, believe it or not, they're introducing a paid road use pass. No more free access to a highway network that, let's be honest, sometimes looks more like a shock absorber test track than a smooth road. The plan is simple. Starting from May 1st, 2027, any vehicle under 3.5 tons will have to pay a toll to use the highways and expressways in Belgium. The system promises to be impressively modern. Everything will be digital and linked to your license plate. If you think you're smarter than the system, license plate recognition cameras will issue fines, starting at €70 with guaranteed increases if you reoffend. As for the price, the government has chosen a deceptively virtuous approach. If you drive an electric car, the annual bill will be €90. Yes, that's more expensive. That's more than the fine. And for the vast majority of cars, expect to pay €100. And if you have the audacity to drive an old diesel or a gasoline car from before 2005, the bill will climb to €125. Obviously, shorter-term passes will be available for visiting tourists with a daily rate ranging from €8 to €11, depending on how polluting your vehicle is. The stated goal is to finance road maintenance. Wallonia alone spends €700 million per year on its network, and Flanders swallows up billions. The main goal is to charge the 30 million foreign vehicles passing through Belgium each year, as they currently pay nothing. Belgian politicians, in a generous gesture, have pledged this measure will be neutral for citizens, thanks to a simultaneous reduction in other car taxes, a promise that is already running up against the strictness of the European Union, since it formally forbids granting reductions only to residents. The regions will therefore have to resort to complex fiscal maneuvers to keep their word. And given the state of public finances, we wish them good luck. While waiting for this project to clear the last regional and European hurdles, get your wallets ready because crossing Belgium for free will soon be nothing but a distant memory. And finally, do you want to know which car has the best price-performance ratio on the market? If someone had told you 10 years ago that the answer to this question would come from China and run on batteries, you probably would have burst out laughing. And yet, BYD has just dropped a bombshell among Europe's prestige automakers with its new brand Denza and its road-going missile, the Z. Denza is directly targeting the holy of holies, the supercar. The technical specs are dizzying: 3 electric motors, all-wheel drive, and a combined power output of 1,604 horsepower. To give you an idea, it's like tying 2 Porsche 911 Turbo S together. The performance matches. The coupe version does 0 to 100 in 2.2 seconds, and the racing version, fitted with semi-slick tires, breaks the symbolic 2-second barrier at exactly 1.96 seconds. All this to reach a top speed of 350 km/h. To handle all this power, the Denza Z comes equipped with a technological arsenal, a suspension system that can adapt in just a few milliseconds, steer-by-wire steering with no mechanical connection, and huge carbon ceramic brakes gripped by 6-piston calipers. But the real revolution might be the charging. The 76 kilowatt-hour blade battery, although modest in capacity to keep the weight down, promises to go from 10 to 97% in just 9 minutes flat on an ultra-fast charger. But where Denza really makes an impact, a big impact, is on the price. The prices have just been revealed today for France, with the coupe starting at €156,300 and the racing version tops out at 189,600 euros. Sure, it's not cheap, but let's put things into perspective. At Porsche, for the price of the Denza Z Coupe, you could get a 911 Carrera S with 480 horsepower, except in France, the tax authorities will hit you with a ridiculous emissions tax that can reach up to 80,000 euros. So, your 911 will actually cost you more than this 1,600 horsepower Chinese supercar, which avoids the penalty entirely. If we compare apples to apples in the EV world, the situation is even harsher for the competition. A Maserati Gran Turismo Folgore offers 1,000 horsepower less for the same price. Yes, that sentence is very strange. BYD's strategy is clear. Shake up the premium market by offering hypercar performance at the price of a GT. In China, where the car is sold at half the price, it has already recorded more than 1,000 pre-orders in 24 hours. In Europe, it's clearly here for the image, to prove that the Chinese industry is no longer just copying, but is innovating and surpassing established benchmarks. So, is the Denza Z the best value for money on the market? On paper, it's undeniable. It remains to be seen if the Denza badge will be enough to make people forget the prestige of a Porsche or Ferrari emblem for customers who are also, and above all, buying into the dream and the history. And now it's time to take a little detour to Memocar.fr. To put it simply, it's a platform entirely dedicated to the history of the automobile. They have over 120 hours of documentaries and add a new one weekly. If you want to take a look, there's a special offer just for you. I'll give you the details in a moment. But first, the film of the week takes us to the south of England. You see, where most normal people are satisfied with a garden shed or a slightly cluttered garage, Lord Montague of Beaulieu saw things differently. He actually set up one of the most beautiful automobile museums in the world on the grounds of his castle. Obviously, not everyone has a 15th century castle, and even fewer have an automobile museum on their lawn. But in Beaulieu, strangely enough, the two go perfectly together. In the middle of an estate of nearly 100 hectares, the National Motor Museum houses some of the most extraordinary machines in British and international automotive history. And here the cars aren't just sitting around gathering dust. For the most part, they run. But beyond the engines and the metal, it's above all a family story, one of pure passion and passing things on. How did this aristocratic estate become one of the ultimate sanctuaries of the automobile? What really lies behind the doors of this one-of-a-kind museum? And why on earth do enthusiasts from all over the world make a pilgrimage here? Between the castle, the legendary cars, and that inimitable British Reserve make this documentary an absolutely fascinating tour. If all this has made you want to see more, you know where to find it on Memocar.fr. And if you love epic automotive sagas, you'll also find the famous 120 hours of documentaries about manufacturers, collectors, drivers, and all those incredible human adventures that have shaped the automobile. To take advantage of the Discovery offer, it's very simple. Go to Memocar.fr, use the promo code OCTANE to get 22 off the annual subscription. Thank you all for watching this new video. Don't hesitate to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to make sure you don't miss anything. Ciao.